Hi everyone, I'm Diana Palm. Today we're going to talk about UFOs and alien encounters. Now, one of my mediumship mentors, Alan Arcieri, he wrote a book called Earth School 101, and he has now passed. He's in spirit. In fact, he's one of my mediumship guides, but he passed away in 2008. When he wrote his book, Earth School 101, he left out a full chapter that he had written about aliens. And when I asked him why, his general feeling was that people just were not ready for it. People were not ready for mediums to start talking about UFOs and open up this whole other unknown area, this whole other strange phenomena space. As if talking about ghosts in the afterlife weren't strange enough already. So he made that choice to leave the chapter out of his book, and I always remember that. But now it's 2024 and a lot has changed since then. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the topic because I know many of you are actually having experiences, and I'll be sharing some of my own here on this channel as well. Some of you may still be wondering if aliens contradict a faith in God or any type of religion. And I actually have a quote from the Vatican chief astrologer, and he says that believing in aliens does not contradict your faith in God. So times have truly changed. What is happening on planet Earth? What is happening in the cosmos? Who is interacting with us? Where have they come from? What do they want? What types of things are you experiencing? And are they beneficial or are they scary and something that you should be frightened of and seek protection from? Well, we're going to talk about all of that in this series. Today, I have a very special guest with me, and I'm very excited for you to be able to talk with her. She's an experiencer. She has had many different experiences with UFOs and aliens. So I invite you to sit back, get comfortable, grab a coffee, glass of wine, whatever time of day it is, and really tune in. Some of you will really relate with her, but all of you will learn something. So before I bring her in, she's on her way over right now. Grab a pen and paper too, so you can jot down some of her information for contacts. She's a wonderful resource of information, and she's going to be starting a new podcast to talk about this topic so that she can engage with you guys more. So I want to make sure you follow her right off the bat. Hi everybody, I'm here with my friend Kim, and she goes by Salt. That's her Sedona name. Right? Everybody in Sedona has a special name that they go by, and it's a good way to identify each other and kind of the characteristics of the work they do and how they get known. How did you come up with Salt?
How did I come up with Salt? I was out meditating one day in Sedona, and it's a long story, but I'll give you the short version. Basically, I got a download, and they said, you will use this name, Salt. And I was a bit resistant at first, but I embraced it. Basically, you're gonna do some big things, usher in a new earth, and kind of give your life for your higher purpose.
Okay.
And I was not really into that idea, but they said, you will use this name. And I had to do a little bit deeper meditation to find out exactly what they wanted from me.
We're here today to talk about your UFO experiences. So you are an experiencer and a contactee. Is that how you would refer to it?
Yeah, some people say experiencer, some people say contactee. Mm-hmm. I don't know, there's a fine line. An experiencer to me is somebody who's seen something, who has seen a UFO or lights or maybe ETs or orbs. And then the contactee, I guess, suggests you've been contacted in some way, either positive or negative. But yes, you've had actual physical or metaphysical contact.
Great. And we're going to talk about some of your experiences today. We're also going to talk about how you can contact Kim, how you can come here to spend some time with her on a private Jeep tour that goes out in the desert to watch UFOs and to possibly have your own UFO encounter. First, I wanted to talk about briefly the really strange set of circumstances that led to me meeting you, becoming friends with you, and doing some collaborations together. So, because I'm Capricorn, I actually have a flow chart. So,
and I didn't know she was Capricorn because I am also Capricorn.
No, what? Really?
The third? What? The 3rd, January 3rd?
I'm the 16th.
Okay.
That's hilarious. So I was hired as the activities manager at a resort in Sedona. Part of my job was to hire people to come in and do presentations. So not only did I host pool parties and do crafts, but I also did a lot of event planning and hiring of presenters. So before I did that, I decided to select the theme for the summer, and I chose UFOs and aliens. I wanted it to be really sci-fi, and I made a sci-fi room at the resort. It was really cool. And I met Pete Sanders, who is an MIT honors grad who does the scientific Vortex talk. He's extremely smart and so amazing at his field, and he and I became instant friends. When I told him that I was doing the summer theme, I needed to have some experiences that I hadn't had yet. And one of the experiences that I wanted to have was going out at night in the pitch black in the middle of the desert to do a UFO tour. So Pete said, hey, I've got a friend that owns a Jeep tour company, and he introduced me to Brandon, who does the Outer Dimensions tours. So I take my entire team out in the desert, and we have this extraordinary experience with night vision goggles, military grade night vision goggles. We can see so many UFOs, and we're having an amazing time. Well, the tour driver on the Jeep that night was Firefox. And I was asking some questions to kind of feel out his wealth of knowledge and to see how well-rounded he was. And he was amazing. I was so impressed with him.
Me too.
Yeah, he really knew his stuff. So I knew that he had a lot of information and experience to draw from personally and professionally. So being said, I felt really comfortable and confident referring people from the resort to this company to take their nighttime tours. So then we began talking further and decided, hey, let's do this presentation. Let's really get this going. And that's how I met Salt, because she's Firefox's girlfriend. Do you say girlfriend,
Yeah,
partner?
yeah, partner,
counterpart,
girlfriend,
other half?
Best half, I don't know.
So that's how I met Salt. She came in, we chatted, we shared some spirit photos, we shared some stories, and we just clicked. So Salt came in and she began doing the UFO talks at the resort. And one thing led to the next. We saw how hungry people were for this type of information, and for somebody that's reputable, knowledgeable, trustworthy, somebody that can really speak from authority on this, from having personal experiences and working with the public. So voila.
Voila. All right.
Okay, so I'm going to step back and ask you some questions so that you can talk directly to the audience and really tell your story.
Okay.
So, Salt, can you please share how you got interested in UFOs? Or was it through an experience you had?
Okay, so as a young child, I had lots of experiences with things in the beyond, ghosts, ETs, and I had my first abduction that I have some memory of when I was about 3. So for my entire life, things unfolded on the paranormal side of things for me that were very intense and very scary. Nobody was there to help me through any of this. The best I had would be my grandmother sharing ghost stories, mostly from Hungary when she was younger, and they were scary. So this information, while it was okay to talk about with my family in our own private home, it wasn't okay to talk about it in public. So as a scared little kid, I had all kinds of experiences, and then I didn't want to deal with it till I was an adult, and I had all these psychics and mediums saying, oh, I think you've been abducted. I think you've been in a UFO. I think all this stuff. And I'm like, I think I don't care right now. I'm not ready for it. So I had an abduction in the desert of Sedona. Now, this was not my first, but it was kind of sloppy, and they put me back where I feel like maybe I could have died that day. So I was pretty upset at this sloppy take Salt, put her back kind of experience. And that's when I decided I'm going to start talking to people about what it's like so that you know you're not crazy. Now, maybe you are crazy, but I'm sure the majority of you are not insane at all. There are many symptoms that are not very nice after an abduction. It's not that they're necessarily trying to hurt you, but you can get physical symptoms, health issues, things like that. So I thought, well, let me come out and share, because nobody was really there to help me. I did have a friend over the last, let's say, maybe 5 to 6 years ago, starting to kind of bring me out of this and to be okay to talk about it. And that's why I'm here, to share with others so that they don't feel afraid. Okay?
So when you said that they had a sloppy abduction with you, how were you taken?
Oh, okay. I would go out hiking, meditating, doing energy work, and I had my dog Lilu with me. Basically, I went into my meditation. Often when I'm meditating, I'm in the space between spaces, so I'm pretty aware. I can open my eyes. Everything's sparkly. That's kind of where I like to live. So my eyes can be closed or open. And so when I was done doing my stretching, meditation, running energy work through my body, connecting to source, I went to pee, and it was bright green. And I was like, whoa. Now I felt a little foggy and groggy because I had just come out of a download and some meditation, but I was really not feeling quite right. And when I saw this green urine on the ground, or coming out of me, it was, like antifreeze, Gatorade. Next thing you know, I'm not there. So I had already been apparently taken because I shouldn't have green urine. And no, it wasn't just dehydration, it was bright green. So I was taken, I guess, again, maybe they wanted to erase my memory, and they put me somewhere else. Now, when I came to, I had no idea where I was. I was in the desert, but I was using, there's a mountain called House Mountain. It's a pretty big area. That was my navigational rock. Well, I couldn't see it anymore because I was behind another mountain, or cinder cone actually, and I was on a lava field. So instead of being 5 minutes to 10 minutes back from where I was supposed to be, I was actually camping in the RV out in the desert. I don't know how far, because I was very drugged up feeling. My dog was missing, and basically it was like I just popped up in the middle of the desert. So it was like I popped up and I was like, where am I? What's going on? And I'm all drugged up feeling, and then next thing, I don't see my dog, and I'm pretty upset about that. So I started calling for her, and all of a sudden she popped up, and it was like we just popped up out of nowhere. And she wanted to go this way, and I said, no, baby girl, I think it's that way. But again, we couldn't see any landmarks. So we walked and walked and walked, and she really insisted I go this way. And I'm like, if we go that way, we might die. And I'm glad I didn't listen to my dog. So we went the other way, and I walked, what seemed like forever, a lot of lava rock, a lot of heavy brush, till I finally could see something I recognized. And I was like, damn, I am so far away. Why did they do this? Why did they put me out there like that? And I was very angry. And I went back to my RV. I went to the bathroom again, green pee again. And people say, why don't you take it to a medical facility? I'm like, so they could take me and erase my memory again, I guess? No, thank you. And the next day I threw up quite a bit. And then I started talking about my abduction experiences and sharing to help others so they realize what they're going through, some of their health issues or some of their anxiety or things like that they're dealing with. There's reasons behind it, so I'm here to help.
What other symptoms are pretty familiar or pretty common with abductees?
So for me personally, and I always approach everything for from me. So often, you get abducted, you wake up in the morning, you're groggy, you feel like you're on drugs, you can be completely dehydrated. Your neurological system over time, and when you get taken and put back, it can get affected, so you can develop a lot of bone pain and neurological pain. If I didn't say vomiting, vomiting, I have only vomited black goo twice, but the first time I did, the lady that was helping me, I said, hey, I vomited black goo today. And she said, welcome to the club. So marks, of course, marks on your body. I've got some pictures of some markings on my body. And then, of course, just little snippets of memory, just little tiny, you remember something, but you don't remember everything. And that's where hypnoregression comes in. I had to go to hypnoregressionists for some abductions that I was ready to see where it went. So to see how far it went, was it good, was it bad? And I've had both. Good abductions, bad abductions, physical and metaphysical, energetic, if that makes sense.
Did they all happen to you here in Sedona, or did they happen, you said it happened in your childhood too? So.
Yes. So I grew up on the East Coast in Connecticut, about About 1 hour outside of New York City. So yes, you're in a suburb, there's lots of trees, but Connecticut, New York, lots of UFO activity there, lots of famous stuff that occurred there. We did have not a military base, but we had a Sikorsky aircraft that made Black Hawk helicopters right near where I lived. So my experiences with ETs and aliens and Bigfoot and ghosts does start back in Connecticut. So I lived in Trumbull, Connecticut. Later, we moved from one place to another place. And then when I got older, I moved to Monroe and Shelton, and I've seen all kinds of stuff there. I moved to Florida for about 13 years before Sedona, and lots of stuff there as well. I don't think that there's any place without this type of activity, but I think some areas are more known for, or it's more concentrated. Probably the minerals and the rocks and the geology seems to have something to do with it.
It's kind of like being a medium. You can move and move and move, but every house is haunted.
Yes, I would say yes.
Yeah.
I thought I could escape it, and no, it's no.
Okay, so what calls you to? I mean, I know you actually have had experiences, good and bad, and you want to talk to people and get people talking and having conversation about this and helping them. But is there something about you that draws you to wanting to have more experience?
I guess trying to understand what is it, what's it all about? Not just why are we on this planet? Why are we here? Why are we here, man? What's our purpose? But people ask me why this, and I say, well, why do you do martial arts? Why do you cook, right? So why this? Well, this is, I guess, it's a blessing and a curse, right? This is what I was given. We all, I believe, have intuitive or psychic abilities. I do as well, different than yours, Diana. I look at us as these, humanoids. We got two hands, 2 legs, and a head. So do they. We are in a 3-dimensional vibration. They're mostly vibrating at a higher level than we are. Like humans, this is probably the biggest question I get, is, are aliens good? Are they evil? Are they good? Are they bad? And I say, are people good? Are people evil? Yes, and everything in between. So I'm trying to understand the different races maybe a little bit, or who's reaching out to me, who's making contact. And I only want to make contact with the guys that are very, very nice, or at least neutral. Now, there are lower vibrating ETs, and I try to look at them like they don't know any better. I would love to, in some way, elevate their consciousness, not just me, but all of us, our tribe, to elevate their consciousness too. And I'll say to people, when you have a crocodile in Africa taking down a wildebeest by its face, the wildebeest is not happy. All the other wildebeests are scared and they think that crocodile's awful, but the crocodile's just getting lunch. And it's not in his capacity to understand how he's affecting the wildebeest. So I'm not saying I like all aliens, so let's throw out the reptilians, right? I'm not saying I like them, but I have the idea that some of them at least can be elevated to a higher level of emotion and compassion and love. And I know people think that's insane, but I want to create contact so we can understand each other better, and just raise the elevation of our planet, our humans, and everything that lives with us. So there are many things in the beyond that, people see. I don't always see what they see. And I think that if we could all raise our elevation, and we as humans can help others.
Let's say after you've had a negative experience, the one that really scared you out in the desert, did you want to have another experience? Did you want to understand why? Was there something that pulled you to want more?
Yeah, and I think so what it did is it ticked me off, right? It ticked me off. So I was mad. I was so mad. So that's my drive, but it was just to understand more. Why are you taking people? Why certain people more than others? What are you doing? Why are you taking these people? Are you studying? Because to me it seems like a big giant lab experiment, and unfortunately we are the lab rats. Now, I like to think if we resist the forces that we find are more, negative, if we just stay away from that, and we work with the forces that are kinder and more benevolent, we also, can raise our own vibration.
Who would you recommend as a higher vibrational entity? Being?
And I know people get into the names in this group and that group, and within every group, they're not all the same. So I work with, personally, I've got spirit guides I work with, I'm sure many people do, and people talk about angels or ancestors. So my spirit guides, a lot of them are kind of ET looking. I've got a spirit guide that seems to be, I would say, like a Lemurian type of an energy. He's a male, and he's very intelligent, very good with healing energy vibrations. So I can't say 100% that he's a Lemurian. It's not like he told me that, but that's the vibration I get. The Pleiadians, of course, everybody seems to like them. I've had good experiences, and my star mother, as I call her, which is really a higher version of me, is that she is Pleiadian, and she's a big glowing humanoid thing. She doesn't look quite human form like a lot of people perceive them, but maybe present themselves in that manner. So for me, I got my Lemurian brother, I've got my star mother, she's a Pleiadian. Then I've got this, and I don't know the name of it, I've got a spirit guide. He's got a big giant orange head, and he's very tall, about 20 feet tall. I don't know his race. All business, very psychic. And then I also work with, I've got a guide, blue avian, I call him Rahajaki, that came through a channeling, and he actually works with me pretty tight. Again, all business, so not negative and not benevolent, just neutral. And then I've got a few other spirit guides, but those are more like my ET guides. But there are said to be so many different races of ETs or aliens, and that name's not even the right name. I don't know the best name. But they're multiverse type beings. They're in different realities. But yeah, there's so many different types. So this is what I'm understanding from my perspective, who I'm working with. And I have run up against reptilians, and yeah, not really my favorite race at all. Sorry.
So as you're taking people out in the desert on these night tours for UFO watching, what types of things do you guide them to do or teach them to do in order to stay safe or have a really positive experience?
Okay. Many people have a way to, protect themselves or shield themselves. So we teach people to use love. So we'll say, and this is the way I do it. There's many ways to do it. So I say connect to the earth, run the energy up through your body and around your body, send it up, and then pull the energy from above down and kind of connect. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to connect, the heavens to the earth to us. So I kind of connect up, connect down, imagine a white light, and then I tell them inside their chest, imagine a beautiful white light, and they could pick any color or any shape, but mine's a white crystalline orb, and then expand the energy from within, going further out past your body, and think of it like a fierce and fearless love, like a warrior. Then, if you feel you need to, if you're scared, which generally on my tour, I just tell people if you're scared, just come to me or whomever, because we have other tour guides that are very good. But you could also put a shield. You could put a shield around this. So what we're trying to do is connect, and expand and become one with everything. And then I will say only the nice guys can show up. Basically, who are you inviting to the party? Who do you want to invite? I know there's some groups out there that are really good and have some really good techniques that use different similar practices to what we do, but they say, well, invite everybody in. They're all good. I was like, not from my experience. They're not all good, and I don't want every ET race showing up at my party. It's like when you host a party at your house, you might only want to invite a certain group. That's how I look at it. So I'm not inviting everybody in. And some groups use Christ, right? And that's fine. But not all my customers, are Christians or have 100% solid faith in that. And I tell people, if you're solid with that, go for it. Whatever you're solid with, whatever your belief is, go with that. But I use love because it's universal. So I like to use that. And then I just run them through an exercise.
What type of experiences do people have on the Jeep tour?
I'm going to share a funny one. So I was sitting there with 3 ladies. It was a while back, and we're meditating, and in the middle of meditation and clearing, something just kind of flicked her in the third eye, just boink, right in her third eye. And then later, they were standing behind me, and I'm like, are you touching me? And she's like, no. I was like, good, because it felt like somebody was grabbing my ass. So those are kind of funny ones. And then you can go all the way to the dark side, unfortunately. I've had people who are afraid. When you're afraid, you will draw in things that want to feed off your fear. So I will use sometimes an app called Necrometer on my tour. It's like a $10 app. It's a great little app if you know how to use it. And sometimes it says some pretty interesting things that are scary. I had a little boy on tour. It wasn't that little, but he kept accidentally saying things that were calling in darkness. And this little phone Necrometer app is saying, like, kill you, you're not safe. And I didn't want to share it with the kid. So we relocated from that area. And I put that child between me, another person. I said, you're just going to stay right here so that you don't keep drawing that in as much. And basically his father said, yeah, let's leave, because I told his father what the app was saying. And yeah, so when you put out that dark energy, it can draw some dark stuff. So we moved up top, and then it was much kinder. But people have seen, crafts, UFOs. And when we see a UFO, you'll see the satellites fly across the sky, and that's cool. Satellites are fun, space junk. But when they move across the sky and then they power up or disappear, or they bumblebee a little bit, or they stop for like an hour right here and they just sit there, or they shoot up, or they do all kinds of things, that's the stuff we're looking for. I had a structured craft go over one night where I was looking in the distance, I was like, oh, look at that. There's a UFO, and it was behind the clouds, so the people couldn't quite see it, but I knew the way it was powering up, because what happens is these things, when they're coming and going, sometimes they power up. So they are vibrating at a different frequency often. So some are structured craft, like the ones you see high up in the sky that kind of look like satellites. We use an app to help determine whether they're satellites or not. But the ones that power up, those are usually coming in or out of dimension. So I'm pointing it out, it's behind the clouds. They're like, that's not a UFO, that's a helicopter, clearly. And it wasn't. But then after that, this big giant craft went right over our head. Now, when I say craft, it had a kind of a triangular set of lights, your typical triangular or boomerang ship. It was almost silent, and it just slowly, it looked like 2 ships in tandem going over the top of us. Now, whether that was them or our government, it was interesting that when they're like, no, that's not real, there was something very structured and real. And maybe it was to show them that, yeah, this is real. But so much stuff happens out there, really.
Yeah, and everyone seems to really love it.
Yeah.
And all your tours, you take the military-grade night vision goggles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we teach them how to, use their phones. So some of the best stuff we get, people think looking up here, that's where everything is. It's not just up there, it's out in front of us, it's behind us, it's above our head watching us. So when you're out there, I encourage people to use photography in different ways, and we capture some of our best stuff actually just kind of out around us, or just above us, maybe 20 feet or 50 feet above us, on the mountaintops or on the rocks themselves.
What do you think is the most interesting thing that you've learned through all your UFO and having experiences?
Let me think. Hold on. The most interesting thing I've learned, huh? Let's see. So I'm rattling through my head because a lot of it's interesting, and it's all interesting. But using my intuition, the thing I'm supposed to talk about, and I don't want to go too far down the dark rabbit hole, but we have quantum entanglement, we've got multiverse, we've got game time, we've got missing time, and there seem to be, one of the themes is save our souls. So we go out there, and again, I don't really want to go down to the dark side too far today, but we use a necrometer app, and there are souls out there that it seems to be a collection point of souls, and they're not all human. There's been a lot of negative stuff that's been done out there, and it seems the energy's still there, and it needs to be cleared. So, I'm not saying that's the most interesting thing, but it's definitely, what exactly is going on in Sedona? Somebody asked me one time. I don't know. That's why I'm going to start sharing more of this information. Diana, I know you sometimes have seen things that you don't always want to share, right? You've had some experiences that maybe aren't worth sharing, all the details, all the minutia. And, not everybody's ready for this, but I've seen things, and so that's interesting that I've been allowed to see things, that I've been part of things that are maybe not so nice, and that I want to actually, again, help people break those karmic contracts or break those ties and get their souls back together, if that makes sense. But that's the dark side. I'm going to give you another answer that's interesting in a fun way. So let me think about that. What was one of the more interesting things that we experienced? There's so many interesting things, it's hard to pick just one. But Christmas Eve, I had a couple that was very fun. After we kind of got into our little Zen meditation, then we were goofing around and joking, and we talked about many things on tour. Now, there's a book called Merging Dimensions written by Linda Bradshaw and Tom Dongo, who experienced many things out in Sedona in a place called the Bradshaw Ranch. So the Bradshaw Ranch is the focus of the book. Inside her book, she's got this picture, it's like a window, and she saw this up in the sky outside of her kitchen window, and she saw it with her naked eye. She was a psychic, as her co-researcher Tom Dongo was. Now, Tom couldn't see it, but she could. So she took several pictures. This was going back in the mid-90s, and she captured this window, and in the window, like in one corner, there's like the mast of a ship or a telephone pole. Then there's like a little flying saucer. In the flying saucer next to a pyramid, and then there's like this little Bigfoot-looking thing. It's very grainy, but it was a window to another world. And it does seem to be a place where dimensions merge, the Bradshaw Ranch area. So we're near the Bradshaw Ranch at a place we call Bradshaw Point, and I tell my people, take pictures if you feel something. So she said she felt she should turn around and take a picture out of the back of the Jeep, and she should point her camera down. This is just going on, and I don't know. And she said when she took the picture, it pushed her hand away. And she got this photo of this white kind of box on the ground, and she goes, "What is that?" I said, "That's like what Linda got. It's a window to another world." And what's interesting, at the same time she was doing that, so she was turning this way, I was standing here, over here, and I go, "Look at that." So I saw a light in a place that is a cave known for movement. During the daytime, people see movement of something in the cave. That's where the light flashed that I saw right at the same time she took the picture. Later that evening, her husband or boyfriend, his name was Mark, I can't remember the relationship, but we went to an area that's a little bit heavier with activity, and he was very excited because something shattered his phone. Now, I don't think I'd be excited over that, and I said, I hope it's a glass screen, but he was excited.
Would you say that it's kind of like you say, merging realities, merging dimensions, portals, vortex energy, ghosts, aliens, missing time, all of the fringe sciences, right? Check.
Check.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is a big umbrella over all of it, isn't it?
Yeah, and it really is, and I'm fortunate enough that I get people that tell me little snippets of bits and pieces, and I can piece it all together. There's so much going on out here, so when somebody's like, "What's going on?" I'm like,
Everything. You
should write a book. I'm like, it's exhausting. How about a podcast? Maybe I'll do that. And I am going to do one. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But, and there's some military activity out here as well. Now, when it comes to the military activity, I don't want to go look for the hatches that open up in the desert, because if you experience that and you go down in there, you'll probably never come back. Lots of stories about that, but I have had military people give me little bits and pieces of information that I can assemble together to make more sense. And that's probably a question to get. Why do people share things with you? I don't know. They do. Things that are, they know this much, but they can only share this much because of their clearance, but yet it's enough for me to put stuff together. So I am grateful to have a lot of military personnel who have given me just little bits of information that helps us to piece it all together. So there is definitely something going on out here that they are working with. And I like to think that our men and women are good and good-hearted people, because I know a couple people that have been out here in this area, and they are good people, but everything's compartmentalized, right? So just like you have a police station, right? And we love these guys here, and these are good cops, but you get that one dirty cop, right? And then these guys, not so bad. So I think, our military operates like that. One hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing, lots of secrets, and luckily I can get little bits of information to share with our audience.
And a lot about quantum physics and trying to really figure that out.
Yes. Yeah. So there seems to be quantum entanglement. And yeah, so I am. Is it okay, Diane, if I talk about my podcast?
Yeah, definitely.
So we're going to talk about a bunch of things on our podcast. So it's going to be myself, Salt, and Firefox. It'll be called Beyond the Meat Suit. So I call this body our meat suit, and our soul is kind of plugged in, and we're driving around in this little meat suit on planet Earth. And we're fortunate to be here at this time in these bodies. They don't have bodies. So, quantum entanglement, quantum physics, I love that stuff, but at a level of a lay person. And I do want to share some of that. We had a story, and again, these are longer stories, so I can't go over each one of these, but we had a story where we had 4 Jeeps in 3 different timelines on tour during the daytime. And if one of the Jeeps didn't break down, we would have never realized it happened. And again, that is a longer story. We also had a Humvee disappear and reappear. Another, quantum entanglement story was this is a short one, so this is easy to share. I was driving from the Sedona desert in to Sedona. My coworker was driving out. He called in over the radio. We have radios. I need first responders out here right now. A van drove off the road and it flipped over. They need help. So we passed this guy 30 seconds later. And when I got back to work, because I do work for a company, it's called Rainbow Adventures, SedonaJeepTours.com if you guys are interested in that. So when I got back and he got back, he said, "Are those people okay?" I said, "Well, there's one person." He goes, "No." I said, "There was one person." And I said, "The van didn't flip over. There were no scratches. There were no dents. It was upright, and there was a girl, 130 pounds, 5'6", on her phone." He goes, but I saw." I was like, "I know, but I saw." He goes, "But my people saw." I go, "But my people saw." And when we drove up to the scene where we were about to cross paths, I said aloud, "I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this accident." And the people behind me said, "I don't want to see this either." And we didn't see it. We saw a different reality. Now, I don't have the answers whether there are 2 different realities that are existing at the same time, or the prevailing reality, it was the one we saw, but I saw a better reality where nobody was injured. He saw a reality where people were injured. His people in his Jeep saw that as well. My people saw this. So those are the things that happened in Sedona. And as a tour guide, I'm blessed, I guess, to have had the opportunity to have had this job, and I still have this job, because I'm out there and we get to experience things. I don't always get to share it with my people because I see more than they do, but it's happening literally on a daily basis here in Sedona, Arizona, and I am quite certain many places as well. Many places I've been to, this stuff does happen, but it seems to happen a lot here.
Absolutely. And isn't there a lot of different theories actually, about Sedona being some sort of hub?
Yeah, I like to think of it as an intergalactic travel center, and like a truck stop. You come in and you get your stuff, and maybe you pick up a couple humans to probe and test their DNA. Maybe you're going to grab some cows, because cattle abduction was very real here. It still is, but most people don't have cow anymore. And I don't think they're just coming here to probe us or to get the cows. I don't think that's their main motivation. I believe this is like a gas station. I believe there's energy here. And there's this amazing, beautiful area. We've got quartz crystal, we've got iron oxide, we've got manganese, magnesium, lava rock, limestone, and it's all here in one place in this big giant bowl. There's a certain vibration, these minerals, and this is the short version of the answer to this question, but it could be a much longer answer, but basically all these minerals are in one place. They're all known to transform energy in some way. There's a bowl surrounding Sedona, right? And it vibrates. And you have these up high areas, these down low areas, and energy is moving. Energy is always moving. It moves up, it moves down, it's always moving. And if you're in the right spot at the right time, and there's these currents of energy coming together, that's when the magic happens, or the paranormal happens. So I find certain areas are more active, more conducive for things coming in and out. Like washes are really good. Underneath the ground here, we've got miles and miles of caves and caverns, crystals underground, flowing water underground, lava rock, everything is charging everything. Again, I get information from different people. So I guess when I'm too busy and I'm not getting downloads, they give them to other people. I had a girl on tour and she said, a Vortex tour, right? I was doing a Vortex tour. So when I do tours, I do the outer dimension tours, the night tours, as well, just normal night tours. I do Vortex tours, spiritual type things, and regular tours. So on our Vortex tour, she was meditating for just a few minutes and she goes, I got some information. Does this make sense to you? And she presented the information. I don't know it word for word, but basically they told me, I guess they're aliens, she said. I don't know who they are, but they told me that they travel on frequencies like sound vibrations, but we don't hear them. And they're like little microscopic highways. And these little microscopic highways that we can't see, we don't usually hear, but we can sometimes, or feel. Sometimes you could feel them. We have this anomalous energy in Sedona. We call it the Vortex. But they told her they travel on frequencies of vibration like a sound, but different. And she said, does that make sense? I was like, heck yeah, it makes sense. Because if I play my sound bowl, I can sometimes get a light on House Mountain to light up. So yes, the drumming, the sound bowls, flutes, tonalities, singing, it will call them in. So Sedona is this place where, because of the vibration, things seem to be able to slip in and out of this reality like a travel center. And there's many on-ramps and off-ramps, and that's how I understand it. Again, am I right? I don't know. Ask my ex. I don't know. He'll say no. But, I'm not always right. Maybe I am. So that's my theory, my understanding of what's going on in a short answer, and it wasn't that short.
Perfect. And so your podcast, can you give us information where people can find you?
Suure. So right now I'm just getting my social media up and running. So I've got my podcast. It's going to be called Beyond the Meat Suit. So it'll be running from Podbean. So if you have Podbean, it'll be on there, and then I'm going to launch it. I don't know the exact date. I'm thinking October 27th, but it'll be the end of October, just before Halloween. So from Podbean, it'll go out on Apple and other platforms, but Apple doesn't always pick it up right away. So it'll be out there. However, if you type in beyondthemeatsuit.com, that will lead you over to another website called Kim W. Salt, and you can access a podcast link from there. You can also sign up your email if you like, and that way, if you want to know when the podcast is coming out or any other events, you can do that. Otherwise, Facebook, Facebook, Beyond the Meat Suit, TikTok, what's the other ones? Rumble. So Rumble, that's one of those, a lot of people don't know about Rumble. You could talk about just about anything on Rumble. So, there's other platforms that don't really want that, but Rumble, I will be there because this will be a video and audio podcast. And some places I will put stuff on YouTube. So YouTube, at Beyond the Meat Suit, I guess it would be YouTube / blah, blah, blah. I'll give Diana links. But yeah, YouTube, I will offer some of my podcasts or bits and pieces of it, because some things I could talk about on here, some things they don't want me to. And that's why it's important. If you guys do want to follow this, if you do subscribe to my email list, that way if I do get in trouble anywhere on any platform, you could always find me over on Rumble. But yeah, definitely check out those links I'll give to Diana.
Perfect. And if somebody wants to come to Sedona to get out on an Outer Dimensions Jeep tour with you at nighttime to watch UFOs, how do they contact you for that? Would that be a direct contact or email or?
So there's and so I work for the company, so I don't do reservations. There's a website, SedonaJeepTours.com. We'll get you guys a link for that as well. You can go on there and book tours directly on the website. However, you can also call in if you want to. There's a phone number on the website. Recently had some people, they said, oh, well, there was no Outer Dimension tour available, but the reservationist could have made it happen if they called in, because sometimes we have people that can do the tours that, like, I could be on and not be available that day, but I'm available, if that makes sense, because I'm on a board where you can't see my availability, because there's myself, Salt, we got Firefox, we got William, we got Nate or White Wolf. So we got some really good tour guides. So if I'm not available, you can ask for Salt, but Firefox, Nate or White Wolf, William, and you can get a great tour guide regardless. So do call in if you don't see the online booking available or if you have other questions.
And one last thing about the Jeep tours, these are private Jeep tours, so they're not going to stick you on a Jeep with a bunch of other people you don't know.
Yes.
So if you want to come, it will be one specific price. So bring your own people, like-minded friends, family, people that are super into it, and you guys will go out in the desert alone with the guide. You will not be with the public.
Right. So yeah, and the way it works, yes. So our company, in town in Sedona, people are familiar with, Pink Jeep. Everybody says, do you work for Pink? I go, no. It's too corporate. It's not my bag, baby. I don't work for Pink. I know people that work there, great company. They would never let us do what we do. So they have everybody stacked in on a Jeep, and so does Safari. That's another company. Our company only does private Jeep tours. So if there's 2 of you, then there's 2 of you. If there's 4 of you, then there's 4 of you. So you do get a little bit better pricing as you increase the number of the people on the Jeep. So the average, number of people I would say we get is 4. We can put up to 5 to 6 people on the Jeep. From there, you can add a second Jeep and we could do group tours. We just did a very large group tour, Outer Dimension tour. We had, I think, 4 Jeeps, 20 psychics out there. It was outstanding. So yeah, bring your friends. And I think Diana said, I don't know what the word was, but like-minded. So if you've got somebody in your group that's like, I'm here to prove that this isn't real, and that will actually lower the vibration. So what we're trying to do is push out this beautiful, loving, playful vibration to draw in whom we want. And they don't want to deal with this guy over here. And I personally, I'm not here to pitch my agenda of, oh, these UFOs are real, I'm the best person, you gotta listen to me, I'm gonna shove this down your throat. That's not how I do things, nor does anybody on our group. We don't do that. I don't like that approach. So I've had people that have come on tour to prove that this stuff is wrong or it's not real. It's not really what the tour is about. It's about embracing and contacting, and your vibration is really important. So don't bring that negative Nancy. Make sure they're open-minded. We do have a lot of people that are very open-minded. They go, well, I don't really believe, but I'm open to it. That's fine. If they're open to it, well, I'm skeptical. That's fine. You can be skeptical. Just be open to the idea. And if you got somebody that's really, really fear-based, energy, they're going to have an interesting experience. I'm not saying don't bring them, but yeah, they're going to probably get, I had a guy, like a Bigfoot, was like tossing and kicking rocks at him and growling at him. And it's not that he was trying to hurt the guy, but he was just kind of kicking rocks and tossing rocks and growling at him. And I knew his energy was a slightly lower vibration. He's not a bad guy. It's just that I said, oh, they like you. Well, they didn't really like him at all. They were just interested in him in another way.
You guys, I want to thank you for being here and listening and meeting Kim. Isn't she fabulous? I want to see like 1 million thumbs up. I know you're going to follow her and be able to interact with her in her podcast. I know you're going to come out here to Sedona and go on the amazing Jeep tours with her. as you can see from hearing Kim speak and hearing like a lot of her different stories out in the desert, one of the things that I really enjoyed so much about meeting her was that coming from a paranormal background, coming as a medium, a spiritual healer, somebody who's working in different dimensions and realms, she was coming from more of the UFO alien experience, but we were finding that there's so much crossover. There is so much, and when you're just talking about what you bring, your intention, that is so important in every realm. It's a law of attraction no matter where you go.
Yeah.
You know, so whether you're trying to bring in good aliens or having a negative experience, if it's the same thing in the spirit world, whether you're calling in angels or demons, it's the same no matter if you're physical, spiritual, alien, or other.
Yeah.
In all the realms, the laws are the same. So it's about having a good heart and living your life with love and integrity and honesty and having that intention. You're going to attract to you similar energies, and you're going to kind of find your tribe and be able to just be authentic to yourself and have those kind of experiences in life that you want to have. So I just really enjoyed, like, she was telling people how to take UFO photos, and I'm like, that's the same thing I teach people about taking ghost photos, you know, and we just had so much crossover information. So we really, you know, it's just amazing. I really enjoyed getting to know Salt and becoming friends with her, and I really value what she's been able to share with you here today too.
That's awesome. Thank you. And I can't wait to have you on my podcast.
Yes,
very soon
yes.
as well. So yeah, and it does really cross over. You know, years ago, a friend said, "Oh, what's the difference between a ghost, an angel, an alien?" And at that time, I was like, "I don't know. I know better now." But you know, people like Diana, she knows so much. She's amazing. Again, I can't wait to have her on my show talking about some of the stuff she talks about. Now, she, again, you know, more heavily working with the paranormal, as we call it. And again, it's together, the ghosts, the demons, the darkness, you know. But, you know, I've had my experiences with that as well. So, again, you can't really have one without the other.
Right, exactly. As even when we were talking, I was like, I started recalling my early experiences with UFOs, and I was like, that's not something I've really talked about.
That's what we're gonna. So hopefully, let Diana know if you want her to talk more about that, because I know I love to hear that. When I met her, I thought she was more ghosty demon woman, but she's like, oh no, UFOs. So what I'm gonna do in honor of Halloween coming up, I'm gonna launch my podcast with Firefox. The first episodes of Beyond the Meat Suit will actually focus on hauntings. So I grew up in Connecticut. I lived near Ed and Lorraine Warren. They were some of the first ghost hunters, you know, just doing what they could back in the day without a lot of assistance. And they had this museum. Now, the museum is like all these items that were left over from paranormal research or exorcisms, including things that were basically demonic and trapped in their basement, effectively. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to talk about that. The Raggedy Ann doll that people are familiar with from the Annabelle movie, that was there. And that story, I'll share some of the stuff I saw down in their, you know, haunted museum. I call it the Museum of Demons because really that's what it felt like. And some of the experiences that happened after that to two friends of mine that didn't go so well. And also, I think I'm also going to share a really intense story. It's like, you know, well, I was babysitting, you know, right out of a horror movie. So you're babysitting and some crazy haunted demonic, God knows what was going on in the basement, and it was so intense. I was like, I don't know, maybe 13. I didn't talk about it for years. It was too traumatic for me back then. Now it's like, oh, okay, I can talk about that. So I'm going to share those stories on one of my first episodes, and we're going to lean in from there, and then we're going to go into the UFOs and the Bigfoot and the secret military and the quantum healing and the shamanic practices and crystals and all that.
So amazing. So I'm super excited to listen to that and to be around some of that content and the people that are. That's what I love about Sedona. For one thing, it's like bringing people here that are so knowledgeable and experienced and really professional, and I have so much respect for like what you do, what Firefox does, and
likewise.
Yeah. All right, you guys, thank you so much. If you have questions, I'm going to put all of Salt's links below this video so you can contact her for her podcast, for her Jeep tours, for everything and anything. You'll be able to follow her, like her content, ask her questions, all of that stuff. So we thank you so much, and stay tuned. We'll see more of you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
How about a hug?
Yeah.
Oh, and hugs.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah.